3.
Actually, it only took for 2 seconds. You were on 4, and it said it's just live. Hi guys, this is Murjani, and you're coming on to a Google Plus edition of Murjani's Miscellania, and I'm here with Mr. Thunder E from Board at Work.
Hello, guys. How's it going? And thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, no, it's no problem. My pleasure. So basically, I'm just going to ask just some questions just about tech reviews and just the joys and pains of running a small business. So could you start us off by giving us just a short bio of you and what it is that you do at your company?
Okay, cool. My name is Thunder E. That's not my real name. Um, but I started Board at Work as a website about 7 years ago. I started it for fun with my then ex-girlfriend. And it was something cool to do. And about 4 years ago, I got laid off from work, and I decided to spend more time on the site and do more stuff. And then I started making videos. I started making YouTube videos for reviews, and ever since then, it's slowly grown to where it is now. So at Border Work, we review almost everything possible. From TVs to cell phones, tablets, vacuum cleaners, you name it. Anything on that level where it's an electronic, we'll review. Because you know what, sometimes you want to see stuff that is not just the tablet. There's things you buy also, that range, that whole scope. And then, we also talk comic books. As you can see, I have comic book posters out there. So we talk comic books, movies, all that fun stuff. And it's fun. It's really fun, just like, you know, I think the best part of it is seeing people's reactions and seeing how some of the stuff that I do or we do in general, border work, influences either their decisions, how they look at things, or even just what they buy in the first place. So I actually I love the accountability factor there. That I can't just say shit and say, "Oh yeah, just buy that," and then somebody buys it, and then later is like, "Seriously, Thunder, you made me buy that crap." I don't want to have that. So I cherish the fact that we take time and say, okay, look, we like this because of this. There might be issues, but this is why we like this device.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, I did see the nice little DC poster in the background, and we're gonna touch a little bit on comic books just a
Okay.
second. And I like your impressive headphone wall back there.
Yeah, yeah. The wall headphones started maybe it's about 2 years now. Um, I love audio. I love I love to hear music well, and that's something a lot of people. I've been trying to preach that as much as possible. I haven't spent time on audio this year, just because there's like a new cell phone every minute. Um,
Yes. Yes, it is. It
there is
really
so.
is.
So I love audio. I love sound, and it's taken me even some time to learn the intricacies of sound. I've become sort of an audiophile where certain headphones, which I will mention, like Beats, are um, crap, but um, because of that love, I basically started reviewing, and I said, you know what, let me put the headphones that I like up, and so that people can see. It doesn't have to be super expensive, because there's some headphones that are really cheap. For me, it's almost like a balance of price. Like if I'm paying $500 for these pair of headphones, then they should sound like $500. If I'm paying $50 and they sound like 200, then okay, that's a great buy. So it's that kind of thing where you see a range of headphones on the wall there, from 50 to 500. So yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, and I know you talked about Beats. Yeah, when everybody and their mother was wearing Beats, I was just like, because this was before I actually got the Sennheisers.
Yeah.
I thought about it because I didn't know much about him, and then I think I had asked a couple people, and Juan was one of them. Um, and you were like, it just kicks up the bass. And when I thought about it, I was like, well, that would make sense because Dr. Dre designed them, and they would be designed to kick up a bass, and
Hmm.
that's basically that. So that's when I knew that that's not what I wanted. And then I got a pair of these for Christmas. I want to say last year, and I've been thinking about getting some in the ear type of
Yeah.
headphones. These
Headphones.
cover the whole thing. So, alrighty. So, thank you for that bio. So, I guess you kind of touched on this about what inspired you to start the business. You said you love tech. Um,
Well, the my inspiration. I mean, I know I said it, but my inspiration was like I really was bored at work. I mean, the name sounds very cliche, but I wasn't. My job then was not something that I felt was fulfilling. So like we literally sat down, we're like, we need something else. And we're like, we should start a website, we'll do this and we'll cover all these topics, and stuff we like. So I love tech, and she then was doing like all the gossip stuff and entertainment. And we're like, let's find a name. I'm like, Booredatwork. We're like, yeah, there we go, done. That was it. That was how we started it. I mean, granted, it's spelled with two O's and instead of one. Well, that's because somebody actually has a website called Booredatwork, and we couldn't buy from the person. He's sitting on it. So,
right.
so
Actually, no, I like the two O's. I think that's actually pretty cool. It's pretty
yeah,
creative.
yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's nice. I just hope that eventually when we make it big, the person sitting on board of work is like, yeah, I want to sell it for like 50 grand or something. I'm like, no, I'm not buying your stuff anymore. But yeah, it,
Okay.
it it started like that, and like I said, when I was laid off, it was so I sat down. I was like, all right, I'm looking for a job, but I need to like do something else, and I could probably spend time doing this, and you know. My style on YouTube is not like the other people who are very stylish. They're very well produced. My production value is not that high. I say it's high enough, but it's not as high as some of the videos where there's a lot of pan and zoom and all that kind of fun stuff, which is cool. I think one of the things that I've always said is that I don't like to cut my videos too much.
Yeah.
Because I like to even if I'm doing a voiceover, but I want to have sections, long sections where if I'm showing you, say, the cell phone,
Hmm.
then you're seeing me use it, and if it messes up, you will still catch it, and I can either explain that that was a one-time thing, or it does this all the time, so that you kind of see it in its most natural status. Because I could easily just drop this and pan and zoom left and right and do all that, and then say, hey, I just talk over that and still give you the same thing. But I like to see videos where, I see the device in full and I get the whole feel of what the device is. So that's why our style is not as flashy as other people, or well produced, so to speak. I mean, we're trying to add more production value, but still keeping that very, basic
Yeah.
framework.
No, actually, I like your little animation thing when you have your video, especially your channel video where it has like the paper uncrumbling and everything. I was like, that's actually pretty cool. I don't even know how to do that, but that's actually pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I found somebody who did that, and it was just an animation of a crumble paper. I was like, "Can you put the logo in there?" He's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, sure." It's like, okay. I was like, "Sweet, done, done."
Nice. So is board at work? Is it just you that's there, or do you have a team? Do you have a partner? I know you mentioned your ex-girlfriend helped you start it, but is she still part of the staff, or do you have
Mm,
like interchangeable people?
she's no longer part of the staff,
Okay.
but we do have a team. So I mean, once I transitioned to video for at least for the last, well, for the first 2.5 years or so, 2.5, 3 years, it was literally me.
Okay.
And it's grown now. So you've seen Sam on the Hangout. Sam also is
Yeah.
part of Border Work, and as well as Alex. Alex, who he's
Yep.
been in and out, but he's done a couple of videos, so he's part of the team. And it's one of those where we're trying to the idea I think for us is to give a very varied look, to it so that for instance, Alex reviewed the iPhone 6, and I'm glad he did because if I reviewed that phone, it would not get the kind of review he gave it. I just don't see anything special about it. It's not a bad phone, it's a good phone, but it's not, it's not going to be, it's not skewed to me at all. So, my
Wow, tell
review
us
for
how
that
you really
phone,
feel.
I'm just saying, it's not my kind of phone. So Alex handling that was more beneficial, and again,
Mhm.
it brings better perspective. So instead of Borderwork being a channel that just pans iPhones, you now have somebody else who gives a better perspective to that environment than me, itself. So it was that kind of thing where, each person has a different style, slightly different style within the overall framework, give something a little different altogether. I mean, Sam loves to do gaming videos, hardware, like PC hardware stuff. I do that too, but he can build a PC really fast, like very, very fast. So
Wow.
that's like his own, uh, own sector there. And I like my audio and I love my comic books, and then I do like other general stuff there. So there's a
That's so
team.
cool. Yeah, that's like a three sides of a pyramid. All three of you guys have your own strengths, and you brought it together to a cohesive relationship, and it actually is pretty cool. Do you get nervous about working with your friends, like in a professional capacity? Because I know there are some people that are like they do not mix business and friends or business and family, but it seems to work for you guys.
Um, I'm a I'm like a little taskmaster, I guess. So it doesn't bother me. You may have to ask Sam or Alex. I'm one of those people where uh, I can split it, and I don't get offended with certain things. I just call you. I'll just tell you up front, like, you're a terrible person to work with, but whatever. We're done with that. We'll move that aside. Like if it's that bad, I'll be like, all right, we
Yeah,
just we just
yeah.
skip that aside, and I'll make fun of you continuously about that. But I mean, because for example, I have a buddy of mine who is going to be helping out more on the gaming side of things, making like gaming videos. Because we have other channels as part of Borderwork, which we're trying to grow. And
Ooh.
he did one video a while back, and I had to edit that video. It was a lot of editing involved to make that video watchable. So but he's a very good gamer. So I'm like, why don't you just do gaming videos and you do commentary on that? That might be easier, if you want to do something like that. And he's like, yeah, I should do some hardware. I'm like, no, no, no,
You're
no, no. Let's just stick to that
like, no, no,
first.
no. Just stay in your lane. Just
Yeah,
stay in your
let's
lane, please.
let's do that. And he's like, really, man? I was like, I'll call you out, man. You know me, I don't care. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
tell you how it is. So I mean, I could say for me it's not hard, just because I've always found it easy just to separate both, or at least find some distinction and say, you know what, maybe they're not good at this, or maybe I gave them something wrong, they shouldn't do that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I usually try and separate it as much as possible.
Oh, okay, cool. So what are your goals for Board at Work?
Ah, to rule the world. Um,
Actually,
I
I
mean,
did. Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't ask that question wrong. It's so. What are we gonna do tomorrow? Get
well,
it?
yes, yes.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, please tell me you get that reference.
Uh,
That's awesome. But yeah, to
um,
okay, that's very honest.
I mean, when I say rule the world, I would love for Border Work to be a household name of different parts. Like, there are people who are YouTube celebrities. They're of different sizes, and I mean, I'm fine being a celebrity. I would love to be, but I want Border Work to be the celebrity brand itself. I want it to be the brand where you can find different parts in Border Work you love. Like, if you love Sam's videos and you want Sam to do more stuff, that's kind of stuff you gravitate to. If you love stuff from Alex, you love stuff from me. If you love comic books, if you love certain things, I want it to be that where it can take as much. as is given in or can carry, so to speak, so that there's always something for everyone. And I mean, yeah, well, as a YouTuber, you want it to grow. You want to eventually hit those million subscribers that some people have and say like, yeah, I got a million, and that kind of stuff where you want that, of course, but it's also keep making sure that you keep your viewership entertained with what they came there for in the first place. You know, I've had people who initially came in just for the headphones and said, I came in because of the headphones, but I love the fact that you continue the same trend here. So me hearing that is making sure that I have to keep that flow across the board where even if they come in for one thing, that at least that transitions over to something else and at least they know that, okay, border work stands for something where they can always find some entertainment that they enjoy. I'm trying to put my catchphrase in there. I know that was
Actually, yeah, that's actually how I became a fan. I've been following Juan for, I want to say, since I joined Twitter.
okay.
At least his some audio guy, because I was really interested in voiceover. And
Yeah.
then when he developed some gadget guy, I was like, yeah, sure, we're cool now. I can follow that too. And then when I started getting these reoccurring tweets about, hey, I'm in this live weekly hangout, I'm like, who are these other guys? And so I was like, okay, I don't know that much about tech, but this is actually pretty interesting. And that's when I started watching your videos. I'm like, oh, okay, so they do other stuff than tech, and we will touch on that just a second. But yeah, you're right. People find one avenue, and then it branches into another, and then to another, and then to another.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So do you so when you got started, were you given any advice about how to get started in business, or were you given any advice about financials, anything?
No. I mean, no, no, not necessarily. There's nothing YouTube does that helps you on that. I mean, they have tools per se, but there's nothing where it's like, how I put it. I wish there was something where, say your subscriber count started growing really fast, or at least you got to a certain level where you get an email pop up that says, hey, look, take a look at some of these things. Like they give you advice on certain things like, oh, how to grow your brand, how to grow subscribers and things like that, but nothing on the financial side or as a business, because a lot of YouTubers don't necessarily think of it as a business. I mean, they think of it as, yeah, I can make money, but not as a business. And I mean, for me, it was I have an MBA in marketing, so for me, I was like,
Ooh.
um, I could apply some of those principles in here and see the things I can do. I mean, me having an MBA in marketing, I'm still doing a terrible job at marketing board at work. Yeah, because that's just me critiquing myself, saying if I have that degree, I should do a better job. And then there are places I don't do a good job at. All my fans on Facebook, I apologize because I don't spend any time there at all. So, so I'm apologizing now if you're listening to this, but it's that process of my educational background has helped me say, okay, there's certain things I need to do, there's certain expenditures I need to make, there's certain things, and sometimes you always have to sit down and make that cost benefit calculation in your head, you know.
Oh yeah.
It depends. So, for instance, I can give you a simple example. I reviewed a couple of Beats headphones, but I also know Beats headphones bring a lot of traffic. Now, if you're a YouTuber, sometimes you might have to think, okay, can I get it from Beats? And I had no contacts in Beats, so I'm like, I'm just gonna buy it,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, and you think about it, it's a $300 investment, 350. It was one of the high end ones. You're going, I'm spending 350. I mean, luckily, if you're buying it from a place like Best Buy, you can always return it.
Right.
At the end of the day. But if you're not buying it at Best Buy, if you're buying it somewhere else where it might be harder to return or something like that, then that's 350 that's tied up completely.
Yep.
But then that's why I say you have to look at the cost benefit like, well, 350 it's Beats. It can probably pay for itself. And also, again, at the end of the day, you could sell on eBay too, still cover some of that cost. You know, it's
That's
some of the
true.
things you have to think about. So I'm not saying you should go out there and always buy stuff, but you just have to look at the benefits of like, you know what? first of all, does my audience like it? Is my audience going to watch? And then will I be able to at least gain some of that revenue back? If you can gain some of revenue and you see that helps you bring in new people, then it might be a loss that you take in. But also that's something that is moving forward because okay, fine. I mean, you can always do the pure math if you want to sit down there and say, well, I spent 350 on beats, I did the video. That video got me, say for instance, it got you 20, 30,000 hits, and you usually normally do less than that, way less than that. Um, and out of that 30,000 hits, maybe you got, say, 1,000 new subscribers. That's huge in YouTube terms because you usually don't even get 1,000 subscribers from stuff like that. So that's something you can say, you know what? Well, it was beneficial. And at the end of the day, just sell on eBay if you don't like it. Trust me, that's what you need to do. eBay is there for a reason. Sell it off.
So, were you given advice by, like, say, a family member or a friend? Like, did you tell, like, how did the people close to you feel about you starting a business? Like, did they offer any advice about getting
Um,
started? Or
I mean, I got some, but my family's used to, my mom like ran her own business. I helped my mom run her business when I was growing up.
nice.
So I'm used to that environment where, I know how it is running your business, and running your business sucks. It can, I mean, when I say sucks, it sucks when it's starting off because, especially you have limited funds, you're always budgeting, you're stressed out, you always have to think about like whenever you run a business, the one advice I would give anyone, I mean, it's not like I've made it big, I haven't, but the one advice that I take myself is I always have to remind myself that there is a bigger goal than just here, because whenever you think that you are okay, that is the worst place to be, because that means you to me, I look at it as you're preparing yourself to camp there and not finish that journey where you're trying to go to. So you always have to remind yourself, you know what, I'm not there yet. I'm moving forward. There's a place I need to be. I need to do this. Look at other people. Like in YouTube, there's so many people you can look at to say, okay, this person is here. Don't look at it as like, wow, this guy is better than me, and this person is better than me in doing this. But okay, what are they doing right? What can I copy from them? What can I apply to myself? You can't copy everything, but you always have
Right.
to think forward. Because
Right.
if you think, oh, this is not bad, like, I'm doing this, yeah, it's cool. If you once you think it's cool, you've just killed it. So you always have to tell yourself that it's moving forward. Because I mean, I think that's the best way to push, because that helps you stay fresh, innovative, especially in YouTube where it can be a fickle audience where, if you become tiring, people are just going to be like, well, you know what, fine. He's always doing the same thing every day. I'm not saying you have to go crazy all the time, but you always have to give some people something fresh, whether it's fresh content, fresh style, maybe somebody new, but it always has to be something fresh, or else even I myself will get tired. So it's that kind of process, I think.
Yeah, that's true. So, so wow, entrepreneurship has been in your blood, so to speak. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty much. But although my mom was, I mean, it took her a while because I was supposed to go to med school. So, yeah, this is not med
Oh,
school.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I have a degree in biology. I worked as a clinical microbiologist, and then I have my MBA, and I'm doing this. Yeah, so I was supposed to go to med school. It was a whole different time in life.
actually, no. It we actually have that in common. I have a biology degree too, and I was supposed to go to veterinarian school. I was supposed to be an animal doctor, and I didn't get into vet school like the first time I applied, which is, I
Mm.
mean, it's actually pretty hard to get in.
No,
I would have had a better
it's
chance.
normal. It's normal
Yeah,
to almost not get in the first try. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so I
As
definitely understand.
competitive as med school is, vet school is way more competitive, and I probably would have gotten into med school compared to getting into vet school. But then, like I said, I decided to, try something new, and everyone kept saying, "Hey, why don't you get a master's? Try something else." And so I did, and then I discovered my passion for writing, and so I was like, I want to do this, and so I got a master's in business of art and design. So basically, launching a creative business, and it was like one of the best investments that I made. And so yeah, you're right. You start out on one path and you end up somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah, definitely true, definitely true.
That is so cool. So do you find yourself, do you miss the science a bit? Because sometimes
Uh,
it'll creep in with me and I'm like, oh, I know that, you know? So sometimes it happens.
I I mean, I don't necessarily miss the science per se. I mean, I don't know how to describe. I mean, I like being science oriented. So, for instance, the reason why I absolutely love Interstellar is because nothing was sugar coated, and that thing is the closest thing to or a science fact movie you can get. Which a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, I was watching some of the reviews and people were like, "Oh my God, they were saying all this stuff," and I'm like in my mind, I'm going. This is just me. I'm going. If you did 1 year of physics, you understand this crap. Come on, stop being useful. Just me. That's just me. But I understand. I mean, then again, I grew up. I grew up in Nigeria where I did 3 years of physics, 3 years of chemistry, 3 years of calculus, all that stuff.
Mm,
So for me, those kind of things are great. But I wouldn't necessarily say I miss it. I do miss some of the just the mental debate on there,
yeah.
whether it's factual or you start moving to that science fiction realm a little bit, but you always have to base it because even when I did the spoiler review with Sam, and we started off just talking about wormholes and why, okay, it was actually probably plausible because if you're using the theory of relativity, you might actually look at gravity as an affecting force because every force in the universe is affected by gravity and blah, blah, blah. And after a while, we're like, okay, this is a review, not like a science class. Let's cut this at least a little bit. So it's that kind of
Me,
stuff that I
Sam,
do
we're
miss.
hacking up the science.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have actually heard how awesome Interstellar is, and I have not had a chance to look at
Oh,
it yet.
you need to. I'm glad I
I know,
didn't say more than that.
I do, and I will go because I actually really like Chris Nolan. I really like his movies, so I
You
definitely
should
will
see it in
go.
IMAX.
Um,
I say you should see it in IMAX.
I have actually never seen a movie in IMAX.
Okay, okay,
I,
then
I know that's like
this
a sin, like, but
no,
I've never seen a movie in IMAX. I have. I've seen one movie in 3D, and that's actually only been the only one so far. Me and my best friend went and saw How to Train Your Dragon, like the first one. And the
the
only
first one,
reason
yeah.
we saw it in 3D was because that was like the only one available at that
Available.
time that we went to the movies. And he
Hmm.
pays. I was like, okay, I'll try this, and it was actually pretty good. I didn't get a headache like I thought I would. And so I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, 3D is actually pretty cool. I've actually never seen the movie in IMAX, and I know it's like an awful sin because I'm like big into movies, and I can't believe I actually just admitted that.
You
But yeah, I've
should.
actually never.
Interstellar is built for that. The only thing I'll just suggest is when you're going to IMAX theater, make sure you don't sit at the edges or in front because that screen is massive.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's it. Because I'm trying to go see it tomorrow in IMAX. I saw it in 35 millimeter film the first time, so I'm hopefully seeing IMAX this weekend.
Nice, nice. So, what is your most favorite and your least favorite thing about being a small business owner?
Um, my most favorite thing is, especially with what I do, is I call it my daily Christmas. So because we review all sorts of stuff, every day. I mean, there's some days there are days I know I'm getting certain things from certain manufacturers, but now because this Borderworks has grown to certain, like, sometimes things are just sent out before I even know, so it comes in the mail, so there's always something in the mail, and I get my knife, I'm like, yeah, what is it? I'm just excited about that, like I told you earlier, before we started, I was like, I got in and there were three packages waiting for me already. So I'm like, that it's usually that kind of process there. Um, I say my least favorite thing is probably this time of year because there's
This time of
always,
year,
yeah,
okay?
this is the busy season for reviews, like 'cause everybody's announcing everything, you know. I think last week AT&T announced like 10 devices all launching on the 7th of
Hmm.
November. So I'm like, okay, I have to put press releases out, then I have to do unboxings, reviews for all of them, some comparisons, and I'm like, so some of the enthusiasm of actually reviewing it, kind of goes away because it now feels a little bit more like work. Like I gotta put this out because people want to see
Yeah.
it. I have to make sure, rather than it being okay, all right, I just spent time with the Galaxy Note 4, and meaning by spending time, you spend a longer amount of time. So that's one of the things that I would say in terms of boardwalk. But as a business, it's just the uncertainty of business as a whole. Because if when you're doing your own business, when you're your own boss, everything boils down to you, from your accounting expenditures, things like that, and making sure you meet the bottom line. It's just that unknown factor. Not necessarily is anything specific, but it's always the, okay, what do I have to do next? And what do I have to cover next? And making sure that you have enough to cover either bills, expenses, things like that. So that unknown factor can be stressful, especially if maybe you had a slow month prior, and you're like, all right, next month's gonna pick up, and it's not picking up, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, like, darn it,
you know,
darn
yeah,
it.
like yeah, like maybe we'll pick up soon. So it's that kind of that unknown that happens.
Yeah, I can completely relate. I am mostly a freelancer, so yeah, I can definitely understand that. So do you what are the most challenging conflicts or trade-offs that you faced since launching the business?
I think it's um it's viewer retention. I mean, the honest truth is a lot of people have said this too. I get people who comment and go, "Wow, you make such good videos," or but you don't get a lot of views. So my thing has been always, how do I get more people engaged to watch? And sometimes with YouTube, I've sat down with YouTube, and they can't tell me any magic thing to do. There's no oh, if you always do this, you will notice a spike or anything like that. What I've noticed is that maybe it's tied to certain types of products than anything else.
Yeah,
So I'll say more or less it's just a retention and making sure that viewers, because my mindset of calculation is we're now at 71,000 subscribers. I always look at it as a 10% turnaround ratio for views. So that my calculation, if it's at 10%, that means I should have 7,000 views each time, as far as I'm
hmm,
concerned. But it doesn't work that way. Nothing is pure math in terms of when human beings are involved. So
that's
that's the thing that I want to try and improve. And I'm always open for suggestions when people say this, and tell me mistakes I've made and things like that. So I'm fine with that, and I'm open to that, to say, okay, maybe this will help, people watch more, pay more attention, whatever the case may be.
okay. So if you were starting the business all over again, would you change anything?
Yeah, I would change some of my early production style. If you go back, I mean, I have 2,900 videos. It's a lot of videos.
Wow.
Yeah, if you go back to the beginning, it was a hot mess. I mean, it was one of those where I was using the HD camera, and I fell into some of the small business pitfalls. I didn't, I didn't just close my eyes and spend money on a very good camera initially.
Hmm.
I had a decent camera if I had very good lighting, and I didn't have very good lighting. So, like, anyone who goes back will clearly see, like, my very first videos, the lighting, the camera, like even just some of the backdrop and settings, like, just wasn't professional enough to
Yeah.
keep people coming back. So somebody might watch it and like, oh, that's a cool video. Thank you. You did a good review, but doesn't mean I'm gonna come back constantly, to check out your stuff. So those are the kind of things I would have changed. Because I always go back and I look at like old stuff to see what I did, where I am, just check. And some of the stuff I'm like cringing. I'm like, God, like skip. Can't do this. This is not good. Yeah, so it's
Everybody, everybody does that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, true, true, but like I'm one of those. I'm fine watching myself on video. It doesn't bother me. But just going back to that earlier stuff, I was like, ah, man, what was I thinking? This is sloppy. So it's that whole mindset of like, changing things on the beginning there.
Yeah, I completely understand. My first YouTube video on here was it was just a writers hangout and I really wasn't sure what I was doing. But I just knew that, I had to, you can sometimes you got to just jump in,
Yeah, true.
first chest high, so but yeah, everybody looks at old stuff and they're like, oh, they like cringe and they're like, I can't believe that I did that. I look at
Hmm.
earlier stuff, earlier productions that I was in, and I'm just like, ugh, is that how I sound? That is awful. So like I said, everybody, especially if you're creative, everybody looks at their old stuff and they're constantly reevaluating everything. So yeah, you're definitely not alone in that. So what do you do to relax when you're not working, when you have off hours?
Not much anymore. I mean, I mean, I really work close to 24/7. Because when I tried it, like my schedule is I make videos throughout the day because my I think I do about 3 videos a day. I myself do three. I'm trying to cut it down, but then I was planned for the next day because also I have a website, so I'm still writing the reviews.
Right.
And because I do, and this is like a downfall now because I'm so used to making videos, sitting down to write, like I can go back, record a review, um, you know, take me like maybe 5 minutes to I actually do a straight cut of the review. So I can sit down 5 minutes and just spit out the whole thing, come back,
Right.
edit for another 10 minutes, and throw it up on YouTube. So I can do it in like 30 minutes. But then to sit down and write the review, that's like 3 hours just sitting down there going, ah. So that kind of puts me in the whole bind. But in terms of relaxation, I guess uh I play some video games. But even that too has now become work more or less than anything else. It's
It's
so
so funny.
bad.
I asked Juan that too during his interview, and I was like, well, no, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to ask him that during the interview. I actually asked him on Twitter afterwards. I was like, follow up. What do you do when you relax? He's like, what's that? Like, I'm like, don't you sit down and like play some Xbox or something? He's like, not really, because it's kind of like work. And I'm like, oh, geez, people,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it is. The only difference I always play, so usually I play online with Sam and another friend of mine, Gary, and that's more relaxing because we played Destiny all three of us together, and that was the only reason I even played that game. I do not like Destiny. Anyone who says they love it,
wow.
that's cool. Because it's one of those games where, like I started playing by myself, and I'm like, it's not built for one person to just play. You either have to call in a
Um,
friend. So, when three of us were playing, it was great. We all playing together. Like, oh, this game sucks. But like on my own, because it's funny because Sam was the only one who actually got to level 20. I mean, I'm at like level 13, and Gary's maybe at like level 10, and Gary and I only leveled up when we all played together. Like we didn't touch it until like, hey, you guys want to play online? Like, yeah, sure, do that. So, um, I would say yeah. I would say online gaming with like Sam and a couple of friends, and then I do play. I play soccer. I started playing soccer again, and then I just work out in the gym. Like, there's no real proper just like downtime. I was talking to a friend last week, and she was like, "When's your day off?" I was like, "What do you mean day off?" So I was like, "I just sleep." She's like, "No, you need to take a day off." So yeah,
yeah,
it's one of those.
relaxing is a big part that I've noticed that business owners don't do. They're always thinking, and sometimes it's not done on purpose because I know like there are sometimes I'm always writing. Like I have a publisher, I have manuscripts, I have deadlines, and I have, freelance clients that I have to write for too and edit for. So,
Yeah.
you get it that you're constantly working, and then when you're not working, your brain is still working. So you're like, oh, I can get this idea. Oh, I need to do this. Shoot, I need to write this down. And then next thing you know, you're sucked back into the work vortex, and you're supposed to be watching a movie.
No,
So
I know it is exactly like that. I mean, for me, on downtime when I'm not necessarily editing video or writing a review, I'm answering questions on Twitter, YouTube, like that's when I spend most of the time just doing that. I'm like, and I'm
yeah.
out with friends and they're like, stop playing with your phone. I'm like, I'm actually working. It's like you're on YouTube. I'm like, no, it's really work. I mean,
Yeah,
it
and you're a
says
football
YouTube, but
fan. Go
yes.
Chelsea.
Uh,
Guys, I have nicely annoyed both Andrew and Thunder E a lot of times on Twitter with my Go Chelsea
Chelsea,
stare.
Chelsea.
So,
You know what? I have two football teams.
mm.
Um, and for anyone else who's wondering, we're talking about real football, not American football. I have my American football team too. That's the Patriots. So yes. Um,
You're from Boston, of course you'd feel that way.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, Tom Brady's like Jesus's brother. I mean, come on. What do you expect? Jesus had a brother. His brother's name was Tom Brady. And I mean, look, if I'll pose this question to you. If you could trade Joe Flacco and get Tom Brady, wouldn't you do it?
Um,
Mm,
no, I wouldn't, but just let me clarify that. I'm actually not a Ravens fan. I'm actually a Steelers fan.
okay,
Um,
okay.
I actually like, no, don't get me wrong. And before people start throwing internet tomatoes at me, I don't hate the Ravens. I'm actually born and raised in Baltimore. I love my city. I actually was a Steelers fan before the Ravens even got here. I do like the Ravens. I just think the Steelers are better.
Okay,
That's,
so all right. So you would keep Ben Roethlisberger there. I mean, he's won two Super Bowls, so he's a good
I was gonna
quarterback.
say he's
Yeah,
actually he's got some good stats.
yeah.
I wish there was more consistency when he's playing, but sometimes that isn't all his fault. So I can't put that blame totally on him. Whereas there are some hardcore Ravens fans, all I hear on Monday morning is Joe Flacco this, Joe Flacco that, and it's just like he wasn't the only one out there screwing up. Like you can't put the blame totally on him. And I get it. He's a
Well,
quarterback. He's gonna
I mean,
receive.
true. See, that's why I like Tom Brady. They blame him one week. What happens? He just goes on a roll. Ah, man. I mean, we're just lucky over here. But anyway, back to my real
Uh,
football teams. I have two football teams because growing up in Nigeria, my cousin was a big fan of Real Madrid, and so I became a fan of Real Madrid. Real Madrid is my first team that I
no,
love.
okay.
So most people are like, no, you only have to have one team. I'm like, one's in Spain, one's in the UK. I mean, I'm good. When it comes to like, Champions League football, I take Real Madrid any day of the week. I grew up with those guys. But in the UK, it is Arsenal, and Arsenal is like the heartbreak kings. They will break your heart constantly. I mean, they start off things well, and then, they,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
think I
yeah.
read
So.
something on Twitter like a few days ago about something awful, something heartbreaking that happened, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So I'm an Arsenal fan. There are times I've literally quit, but because I have two teams, I just don't focus on Arsenal and I move over to Real Madrid because they know how to take care of business over there. So I'm like, whenever you're ready, Arsenal, you want to come back home and give me some joy, I'll be right there.
So, what advice would you give your younger self? Say, like, um, I would say,
Hmm.
if you met yourself 15 years in the past, so your younger self by 15 years, what
15
advice would you
years.
give?
First advice I'll give him to is find a way to buy 1,000 shares in Google. I'm serious. That's
That's
the
solid
one.
advice.
That's
Solid
actually
advice.
of all the things that I actually regret. That's actually one I actually regret a lot. Not that I regret like badly, but because I remember then I had just started looking into stocks, and I told my uncle, and I was talking to family. I was like, you need to buy Google. They're like, no, 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 no. And and we know how much Google stock now, they split it and everything.
Yeah.
But that is the first thing I would give myself advice. Moving away from financial stuff, I would say be quick to change. Um, because one of the things that I've realized now is, I'm more adept in changing and moving fast. The reason why I said that is that, before I lost my job, I was at my place of work for 7 years. It was 7 years. It was about 4 years too long, you know. Um, and
I
I
can
didn't
I can feel that. I can
I
feel
didn't
that.
change exactly. I didn't change quickly enough. Um, I always had some excuse, and some of them were valid, but I had things that was like, it's this, I have to do this, things like that. Where if I had moved faster, I may not be here. I may not have taken this path, but it would have moved me forward in my whole just general push and goal in life. So I would say be adept to change and be quick to notice, because even that's I still carry that with me. Moving into doing this, I started the website, and I remember Warren was the one who got me on YouTube. Warren was like, is we started making YouTube videos. He's like, man, you need to move to YouTube, man. That's where everything is. It's going to be growing. I was like, man. I was like, yeah, videos, but I was like, I just kind of dragged that along, and I was like, in my mindset, I'm going like, if I had started YouTube maybe even 3 months earlier with more interest, it might have been totally different what I am now. So it's that kind of mindset of like, okay, you need to take things more serious. I mean, I'm one of those where I didn't join Facebook till 2008. Now, granted, I'm from the generation that built Facebook. Zuckerberg and I are around the same age, and so everyone was like, "Oh, we need to get on this." It was right at that time, and I was just like, "No, I'm not joining Facebook. I'm not doing this." I eventually had to join Facebook because I was doing my MBA, and I was doing a marketing plan. And part of my marketing plan that I wrote was you need to have a Facebook preference. I mean, I wrote this, and my professor was like, "But you don't use Facebook. You need to sign up." I was like, "Fine." So that's why I signed up, and I'm like, okay. So it's that kind of thing of always making sure you need to jump in and change when you need to, not staying stagnant.
Yeah, I can feel you on the Facebook thing, to be honest. I started Facebook, I want to say it's probably 2005, maybe. I was in a long distance relationship at the time, and this was back when Facebook, you can only sign up on Facebook if you had a college email address.
Account. Hmm.
And I was just like, I never used mine, and so I was like, I don't want to be on Facebook. I don't even know what my email address is, because like I said, I never used it. I think I had like an AOL email address or something back when
Hmm.
AOL was relevant. But and then like I joined Facebook under peer pressure, to be honest, and then it evolved, and it just kept evolving, and it kept evolving, and it kept evolving. So I was just like, I'll be on it. I definitely use it for different purposes. Like I use my different avenues of social media. Like I use them for different reasons. Like I'm
Yeah.
on Twitter because a lot of friends that I have overseas aren't on Facebook because it's too intrusive. So they're on Twitter. So I joined Twitter so that I could talk to them. And mostly now I keep Facebook just to keep in touch with people I went to high school with. Um, and I like Instagram. I don't even know why I started Instagram, but I like Instagram. I like taking pictures. I guess that's why it's like, oh, okay, I should join Instagram. And
Yeah.
then Pinterest is, as I moved more into the creative aspect of my brand, I was like, you know what, Pinterest would be a good idea. And now I love Pinterest. Like I'm always on there. I got
Yeah, I
like
see. I see you on Pinterest.
yeah, I got like 30 different boards and stuff. I was like, this is so cool. Whoever thought of this is such a genius. This is so cool. Um, but yeah, you're right. And then when I started my master's, we had a social media marketing class, and my teacher was like, okay, yeah, guys, if you're not on Facebook, if you're not on Twitter, get on it. Make an account. Tweet something. Anything.
Mhm.
It could say my dog is here. something, use it, you know. So I did have a few classmates that are like, I don't get it, I don't understand this, why am I joining this? And they joined that one time for that one class, and then they never posted anything else
Posted, yeah.
again. So so you do a lot of cell phone reviews.
Yeah.
What's the most common misconception you get about cell phones? What do you ask most often about cell phones?
Hmm. Wow. I guess battery life maybe.
Okay.
I, I would say battery life. I mean, the question is not that I get now are very varied, and most. I mean, the honest truth is most people who watch my videos know the stuff already. I mean, they
Mm.
tend to, correct me on like, yeah, it's 250. It's not 220, by 1440. It's 256 by 1440. So they know just as much as I do. But I
Cool.
but I'll say battery life just because, I'm getting it ahead of time. So, I get to test out the battery life and see. So I think that's probably the most question I get.
Are you asked often about which cell phone is the best?
Oh yeah, yeah, I get that. I mean, this is why we do like, versus and battle videos.
Yeah.
And I try to keep my bias out of it. I mean, I'm a Windows Phone guy. I like Windows Phone.
Ah.
And but even with that too, I still have trying to keep my bias out to say, and spoiler alert, when I do my holiday gift guide, the best phone is the Galaxy Note 4. Period. Just take it now.
That's huge stablet that's like right on your ear.
Granted, I have bigger hands. So for me, it's not that big, but um, so it's I would say, yeah, people ask that question because especially when the bigger phones come out. So once the iPhone drops, the Galaxy phone drops, or the HTC or LG flagship phone drops, it's like, is that better than this? And then all those comparisons come out, and then within the comparison video, you get people asking like the tiniest details left and right. So, but they do ask, which phone is better and which.
Yeah, there are sometimes I'm a little teched out with phones. Like I just got first of all, I keep cell phones till they're like practically falling apart. Mostly because, they're expensive. They cost like
Yeah.
$200 to upgrade and I don't always have it. Like I think I had a BlackBerry for like 3 years
Wow,
because I
Jesus,
just couldn't
Jesus really
afford.
loves you then. You have his
I
BlackBerry
know.
that long.
It did. And then it got so bad, like it wouldn't work unless it was plugged up into the charger. That's how bad it got. I was like, oh God, I need a phone. So I had to move some stuff around and come up with the 200. And I think I got an iPhone 3 and then oh, it might have been like a 3S or something like that. Like it wasn't
Yes,
the
okay.
first 3, it was like the second version of the 3. And then
Yeah.
I had that until the wheels fell off, and then I got the 4S, um, and was able to sell my 3, so I only paid like 100, which was pretty cool. And now I have the 5S because my 4S went up. And now when I see the 6, like my brother has a 6, and I'm just like, I don't like how it looks. Like it, I don't know. Like I guess that's the creative part of me. Like I don't like the aesthetic of it. Just like I upgraded my MacBook to Yosemite, and I don't like the
Yosemite, yeah.
aesthetic of it. I think the icons look very flat, whereas before they looked very 3D and they kind of popped. I
Yeah.
don't like the aesthetic of the toolbar and everything. I just don't like it. I was just like, oh, I don't like this. I don't even know why I did this. And I don't like the 6. I don't like the 6 Plus. And my sister and my brother-in-law, they both have Galaxy Notes, actually. They got
Mm,
the Note 4, I believe.
yeah.
I think they both have the 4. And me, I'm like, I don't really need all that. And I do like Galaxy. Like my grandfather has a Galaxy, I believe a 5. It's not a Note, but it's just a regular Galaxy phone. And it's actually pretty cool. Like I like his phone. And then I'm just like, I miss my old LG, the old LG that flipped down and everything. I miss that. I miss that. It was simple. It took pictures. You get text. It made phone
I mean,
calls. I miss
I mean,
that.
yes. I mean, yes. I think that's the thing with smartphones today is that the complexity goes on a very large scale. The reason why I like the Note, it's not necessarily the size, is because it's the only phone of that size range that actually has pure functionality. So the iPhone 6 Plus is big. Your Windows 1520, the LG, all of them are like above 5 inches.
Yeah.
And the one problem that the one thing that they do not do compared to Samsung is Samsung, first of all, has, I think LG maybe now has it now, but you have multitasking. So one of the things I loved about the Galaxy Note 3, it came out last year. I was going to an event, we're driving, and then Microsoft was doing a press conference, but I was supposed to live tweet it, so I thought I would be in front of my computer. And I was like, wait, I have the Note 3. So I just split my screen. I was watching the video on the top and tweeting at the bottom. It's like, done. I'm doing my job. I mean, like, for me, that was just perfect. And those are the kind of things I like about it. And then you have the S Pen, where I don't have to carry a pen anymore. I take down notes, jot down things. So those kind of things are the things that I like, because it's giving you the functionality that you actually need. It's not throwing stuff that you may not use or you may use, but it's that kind of stuff in there. But size, of course, can be an issue for people. I'll just say deal with it, and just get one in the first place.
I don't know. I mean, I still
Yeah.
have. I think I still have like a year left on this phone, so we'll see. I will say it is a toss up between a Samsung and probably a Windows, because I really like, especially when Juan had did his videos on the it was like a Lumia 1020, I think. I do like the camera aspect of the
Hmm.
phones.
Phones,
So
okay.
yeah, I do take a lot of pictures and videos. So I mean that part, that aspect is actually really interesting. So like I said, I will consider it. I will consider it. So
Okay.
when how
And I said, okay, that's fair enough.
so last part of tech business. What is your favorite piece of tech to review? Do you have a favorite?
Um, Actually, no. Um,
Really?
I'd say headphones. But then again, like with anything, there's always, am I reviewing the top tier? But I say headphones just because, good quality high-end headphones, or at least good quality headphones in general. When you're listening to music on them, it's like a whole new ball game. You can hear just different things. For instance, I use a pair of headphones from a company called AudioFly. They have the pair I have is the AF120, which was one of the top tier lines. Now the headphones have gone up to, excuse me, they have one that's priced at $500, but that was around 100 or something then. It was like two
Mm.
years ago. And I was listening to the soundtrack for the trailer. I listen to movie soundtracks a lot. So I
Hmm.
was listening to the soundtrack for the trailer for Interstellar, which is by a guy named Thomas Bergen, and the track is Final Frontier. I was listening on my speakers here, and my speakers are good. And then I went on road, and then I put on the headphones, and then I heard like three continuous syllables that I did not hear before at all, just because I was listening to my speakers. And if you have good headphones, you will hear things in your music. You're going, wait, is this like a bad copy, or not like necessarily bad, but you just hear other sounds. You're going, wait a minute, no, like this wasn't there earlier. So that's why I would say headphones are probably the most exciting things. Just because I think for me it's easier because you just put them on.
Yeah.
You know, with a cell phone there are intricacies to it. With headphones, if you're not comfortable, that already kills it halfway. You know and then if it doesn't sound good, then that's just the other half. And I mean, in my case, I have to quantify the sound, or at least the quality, but at least it passes some test, whether it fits or it sounds good, generally sounds good. So I'll say
Nice.
headphones.
Nice. Alrighty, so just a few more minutes, and but I just wanted to ask you, so DC or Marvel?
DC. There's no question. I mean, if you've seen our comic book hangouts, um, I mean, Juan is not a fan of Man of Steel, and he has issues for saying that, but that's his problem. I mean, that's fine. Love you, man.
Yeah.
It's cool. But for me, the reason why is that Marvel, like a lot of people love Marvel because they feel it's very close to like society, because there are a lot of things in Marvel mimicked how society was then. So with
Mhm.
racism, you have X-Men, those kind of things. Peter Parker was like the common man struggle, and that's all cool and dandy. I grew up and my mindset is like, if I have powers, why would I care about struggles? Like I go, if I'm Peter Parker, I should not be broke.
Wow.
You just shouldn't be. That's just how I am. So for me, DC's a play. Like I like DC because DC doesn't have a lot of melodrama. Marvel has a lot of drama going on. DC is, everybody's like, we have powers, we know what we need to do. DC, it's almost godlike to a certain degree. So DC is like, yeah, it's our job. It's what we do. I like that. I'm more in that tune. I don't like to do the woe is me. Oh my God. Peter Parker, my
Wait
life.
a minute. Wait a minute. There was melodrama in DC because I mean, I'm not too much on comic books, but as my memory serves me, didn't Nightwing become Nightwing because he didn't want to live in Batman's shadow and blah blah blah?
No, but that's a man growing up. That's not even that's Mel. That's just straight up saying, "I'm sorry, and the way it was resolved was he actually beat Batman up. He did. I mean, like to me, it's again, it's more like saying like, really,
Yeah.
like I'm tired because he's like, I'm tired of wearing these shorts, man. Like I need to, I need to get my own gear. It's like I'm done with this, man. Batman's like, you're not going anywhere. Beats him and then he leaves. It's like deuces. I'll see you later. So, I mean, yeah, you're always going to find some level. It's just how
Yeah.
deep it is, in there. So that's why I say for me, it's usually it's DC. I mean, I like Marvel stuff, but
Mhm.
I grew up with DC comics. My first superhero that I liked, of course, is Superman, which I'm sure you've seen many Superman wallpapers and posters that I have around. So yeah, I was a Superman fan first. And then Marvel characters were I got introduced to Marvel characters a little late. One funny story was I think when I was 10. No, it was a little younger. I think I was 7. My mom bought me a comic of X-Men issue 12, X-Men versus the Vanisher.
Wow.
Um, I read the comic. I know the story. I still remember the story very well. And then I just kind of threw it in the side. Later on, I made some paper airplanes and I threw it out of my window. So I came to America, and then um I'm online on Yahoo and I see Yahoo auctions and I see comic books. I look and I see X-Men versus the Vanisher. I was like, oh wow, I had that. How much is that going for? It was going for 10 grand. I was so pissed, but my
Wow.
little self could not think that you don't make paper airplanes with your comic books. You make it with blank
Oh.
paper, not your comic books. Blank paper.
Oh.
So yeah, that was not cool. Yeah.
I actually wasn't pretty much into comic books. I watched the cartoons. I watched a lot of cartoons growing up. So yeah, like my favorite of the '90s was the X Men cartoons, and it always bugged me how there would be one story arc, and then it would like the next week would be something completely different, and I'm like, wait a minute, what about what happened last time? This was before TiVo and Hulu and all that
All that
jazz.
stuff, yeah.
But but yeah, I still don't read too many comic books. I'm more of a graphic novel, manga, anime fan. But I have been
Yes.
learning about the comic book canons since I've gotten more into the Marvel's cinematic universe and DC. I'm like, oh wait, blah blah blah. What about this? Oh, shouldn't this happen? In my mind, I tend to mix. I tend to mix universes. Like I have a an Ultimate X-Men book in the den across the way, and me and my best friend were talking about this, and he was like, Storm, despite what people think, she's actually mixed. And I'm like, no, she's not. Like, she's from Africa. Like, it says it on my book. And so he was like, oh, this is the ultimate one. That's not
Yeah.
really canon. I'm like, ugh. Like
I mean,
the fact that
it
people
is,
see
and
the
that's
strength is amazing.
mhm. No, I think that's the thing with comic books is that you have so many story points, and like and like I remember like reading Superman comics when I was younger. I mean, it's surprised that kids, as a kid, you could still follow this because Superman had so many powers before they did the pre-crisis. I mean, pre-crisis before they had the Crisis of Infinity Earths, where Superman had telepathy. There was one where
Wow.
like I mean, he had so many different set of powers beyond his normal scope that he was really Superman pre-crisis was invincible. He was the strongest being possible, and they had to literally do the Crisis of Infinity Earths and then kind of winding down to, oh, this is the one Superman who's not like super strong. He's the only one that survived, out of so it, they have this whole thing where at least they don't do that now anymore. But then they used to just introduce either powers or concepts or like story points where things would change. I mean, like even with most of the comic book characters, they didn't originate. So didn't have all his power sets when he was first created by the um, I've forgotten the creators of Superman anyway, but when he was first created, over the years, more powers were added and added. Now it's like a set finite amount of powers. And then I didn't even realize there's a Superman Prime Millennium. It's from a
Hmm.
series in the 90s, and Superman is. And so I saw it through somebody's video. Superman, it was Goku Super Saiyan 4 versus Superman Prime. And the guy gave a breakdown. It's like Superman will win in every category because Superman, the whole story was just to quickly surmise Superman, the current Superman, he had because he's ages slowly. He watched everyone die, Lois, everyone, his friends. So he decided to leave the planet. It's like, look, he's just gonna go on his own. But he had a son who was still Superman,
Hmm.
like the new Superman, and he went to explore the galaxy, do all this stuff. He so in DC universe there's something called the Source Wall, which is the place of this ultimate knowledge, and no one has actually ever cracked into it. Superman basically went in there, absorbed knowledge and power. Then he lived all the way up to he lived for 15,000 years. So he went and he started living
Wow.
in the sun, so he basically absorbed all the energy he could from the sun, and he's all like yellow. His new powers, he basically he basically raised Louis Lane from the dead. I kid you not. Uh, so he had like all these like funky powers, and I was like, wow,
Wow.
this is yeah. So yeah, they can go all sorts of places with comic books. I mean, with manga anime, it's a little bit more streamlined. Your hero or your antagonist has a certain power. It will always go up until it gets to. They will tell you when you have your ultimate superpower, and then it stops right there. And then it's all about willpower at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's actually very true. For those that follow, Naruto just ended. At least the manga part just ended.
Yeah,
So yeah, and it ended in a way that I figured it would. I mean, not to say I was disappointed. I'm
I
sad
was
that it's gone.
highly disappointed. Should we spoil it? No, no, maybe not spoil it.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it, because
That,
some people aren't caught up. We should do a hangout where we do that though.
okay, all right, yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. I was highly disappointed because I wanted some certain things to happen to certain
Yeah,
individuals, but
yeah,
that's the way it
yeah.
is.
I completely understand. So
I'm just waiting for Bleach to end because now I'm just
I don't
like,
think Bleach
I
will
don't think.
ever end. To be
No, no, this is the last arc. He did say it was the last
Yeah.
arc.
No, it is. It
So
is. It's just like, Detective Conan is still going on. Like, you ask yourself, like, is Bleach ever gonna end? Is One Piece ever gonna
oh
end?
no, One Piece is not. Oh, do you read Hunter X Hunter?
I don't know, but
You
I know
should. I stopped, and then I'm and I saw something on YouTube, and I was like, oh, it's still going on. Um, it's really good. It's very. I don't know how to describe it. It's not as clear cut as Bleach and Naruto, because Naruto is like Ninja World. Bleach is like,
yeah,
you could just call it Samurai World if you want to call it that. But
yeah.
there's a certain in Hunter X Hunter, there's no real definement of powers or like what specifically it is, but it's still very good, and that one too is at something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I just see besides Bleach and Naruto, I'm reading. I know I'm reading Attack on Titan. Like I love that series.
Yeah,
Um, I'm also still reading Soul Eater. I know they have the series on Amazon, and I've been meaning to buy it. I didn't catch all of it when it was on Adult Swim, and I have
it's on
Netflix, and
you have Hulu. It's on Hulu also.
yeah, I was gonna say it's on Hulu, and it's on Netflix. So I've
Okay.
actually been using those to try to get catch up, but I've actually been trying to expand my library, but I'm running out of room here, so I can't exactly buy it right this
Yeah.
second.
Hmm.
Especially with manga, like I'm really glad they went the electronic route because if you could see the tote that I have stashed in my closet of all the manga that I have like three. I have like different series, like the complete series of different titles, and
Okay.
but it's like the big ones like Bleach and Naruto and Dragon Ball. Like I'm like I have nowhere to put you, literally. So I'm actually glad that they went the electronic route. So, but yeah, you should we should do a hangout with anime and manga, especially about Naruto. Pretty sure we can
Ye-
get some other people to come in about that and kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, we
that.
definitely can. We definitely can. That would be something to do. Definitely would
Sweet.
do that.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to chat with me a little bit about board at work and about what it is that you do. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having. It was fun. It was fun chatting. It was fun to be on the other side and answer questions and doing all that. So it was cool. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say your show is actually pretty cool. Like if I wake up early enough, depending on how late I stayed up the night before, I actually watch it
It's
live.
only it's only 11 o'clock. I mean, it's
I
early for
know,
Juan.
I
He's on the
I
West
know.
Coast. I
Poor
mean,
Juan, he's just like, oh,
I
freaking
know.
people get on my nerves.
I feel bad.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just like, oh, I gotta wake up and do this. So, but no, like I said, you guys, it's actually it seems like it's a lot of fun. So it's pretty cool. So, all right, thanks guys for joining me on this Google Plus edition of the show, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.